we're back in a pub in Northfield again. How very strange. So we've now excavated at Hemingbrough. 2 really successful weeks, I think. Quite windy at times. We lost a few tents and things on the way, but archaeologically,
and the toilet tent.
And the toilet tent. But archaeologically, we did in the end we did 6 trenches, and we found something Iron Age, and actually a little bit of Romano British as well in all of those trenches. So I think it's been a really successful excavation. We've included lots of people.
Yeah, we had about 83 volunteers came out over the 2 weeks. No, they weren't all there all the time.
And well, what did we find? I mean, let's start with you then, Brian. So you particularly worked a lot in trench number 2, wasn't it?
Trench 2, yeah.
So what were you looking for in there?
Well, that was to look at a ring ditch that shows up in the geophysics and in the crop marks. From there, we got quite a lot of Iron Age pottery, calcite gritted ware, and some pieces of bone, some evidence of iron slag. But more particularly, we found this rather unusual item, which is a bit of an enigma. We don't know what it is. It's been suggested it might be a spindle well, or a pot lid, or a loom weight, but it's not really circular. The hole isn't really in the middle, and the hole isn't vertical, so it wouldn't fit any of those. It might fit a loom weight. It's a bit light for that.
Yeah.
But we haven't yet established what that is. It's fired clay.
It's clearly carefully made.
Yeah.
Yes, it's been made with a profile on both sides, like a wheel almost.
It's a deliberate creation, but it's a bit of an enigma.
Absolutely.
But we did find and confirm that what we were looking at was an Iron Age roundhouse.
It was the ring ditch of an Iron Age roundhouse,
Excellent.
dated from the pottery. The expert Tony Ospin has confirmed that it's an Iron Age date, the pottery.
Great.
So we're fairly satisfied that that's what we found.
Yeah, brilliant. I had a couple of trenches that most of the time I was able to look after as well, with lots and lots of help from lots and lots of volunteers. And trench number 4 we were doing like yourself, trying to look at another roundhouse gully and a doorway. So we found the doorway to a roundhouse. It's a bit big maybe. The posts that actually that supported the roof appear to have been actually resting on clay pads rather than having big holes, and they might have had a bit of a hole originally that's been ploughed away by the farming over the years. We also found this at the bottom of one of those pads, which is quite interesting. That sparked a lot of debate, didn't it?
I think it's a loom weight.
Yeah.
From a warp-weighted loom. We've seen other articles where they've discussed finding these looms in situ with a lot of weights exactly this shape.
Yes.
Not necessarily as heavy as this particular one, because this is about 1.3 kilos or something. It's really, really large. But it's clearly had something tied around it.
Yes.
But it's not the only one we found, don't forget.
No,
we
had
found
another
complete one that had broken into 3 pieces, and lots of fragments of these, so that there was more than one.
Yeah.
So my impression is that it's a thatch weight.
Yeah.
Holding the thatch down.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's the difficulty, because actually we've been out and talked to quite a few people using the wonders of the internet, showing pictures of it to professional archaeologists and find specialists around Britain. There's a site that Tony found that in Austria where there's a whole set of these all lying next to each other.
Very similar shape as well.
Yeah, but they look very persuasively as if they just dropped off the loom.
Well, there was evidence for a loom around them.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there was clearly a loom.
So,
but they weren't quite as heavy as this one, which is where the debate comes in.
it's really nice evidence for domestic activity. Both of the loom weights and actually the strange shape there. So that's telling us that there are things going on in which you'd expect there were homes, but it's confirming that they are people's homes.
Something you haven't mentioned there, well, you mentioned it briefly, but you say the domestic activity, but this was also really carefully placed within a clay post pad, so it's been placed there during the construction of the building. So that has to have some significance.
Yes. So is there some significance about reusing old, broken up things in the nice new building?
Yeah.
What you've just raised there about the building being made of wood, typically the walls were made of daub, wattle and daub. The Iron Age people who made that had invented a brick,
Yeah.
but they didn't realise they'd invented a brick. They hadn't made the connection yet.
Yeah, yeah, that's really good. The other thing we were looking at was we saw those flares on the geophysics, didn't we? Do you remember the white dots?
Yeah.
So, and we thought, hey, that could be iron smelting. So you did trench 1 right over the top of those. What did you get there?
About 100 metres away from
Yeah.
all the other trenches. We thought, well, there might be a kiln, so we better go and look at it.
Yeah,
We found a lot of drains. We did find some prehistoric features. There were some little ditches. Some pottery came out of it. But what we did find was an old oil drum buried in some drain works, and that was the kiln response.
Oh god, yeah, of course, because the magnetometer will pick up modern metal. And do we have any evidence that people are working iron on our site?
Certainly, we appear to have found some hammer scale, which is evidence of smithing.
Yeah.
And we've got some iron slag, which has been identified as such
Right.
by the experts. So, and there was some very curious granular deposits in almost every trench, which is almost certainly evidence of ironworking.
Right.
Well, a lot of that is actually bog iron forming within the ditches. We found this looking at the samples under a microscope at the same time we found the hammer scale. So wherever water is collecting in this iron-rich environment, the bog iron is just forming. It's not in a usable quantity. It's just tiny fragments, but it's also coating bone and probably wood even. So there's lots of fragments.
So those are the concretions that we've seen on covering just about everything.
Yeah.
We did a long straight trench as well where we were trying to look at ditches, and the thing that was nice about that was there was a fairly narrow Iron Age ditch that maybe marked the boundary between between fields or actually went round where the roundhouse was and kind of kept the pigs in and things like that. But actually going across it was a ditch that had Romano-British material in it as well. There was pottery in there, which tells us actually that the things we saw in our aerial photographs and our geophys are actually Iron Age life, and then there's a change. There seems to be field boundaries cutting across from the Romano-British.
We don't really know what effect the Romanisation of this part of the world had on the local people, do we?
But you had quite a different. You had a more complex. You drew the more complex trench, didn't you? Really, Paul.
Well, you've just mentioned a few things that we actually have really good evidence for in Trench 5.
Yeah.
So we had 2 intercutting ring ditches. So one which postdates the first one.
Yeah.
So clearly what we've had is a roundhouse that's been constructed. At some point it's gone out of use. They pulled it apart and they've built another one, almost overlapping.
Brilliant.
So almost in the same spot. Lots and lots of Iron Age pottery from both of them. Not a significant sort of change in date range. But then we also had the Roman features overlying some of this Iron Age archaeology, and that's where this base came from.
Because that's from a nice big ditch, wasn't it?
Yeah, we had a really big V-shaped ditch, which was very clearly Roman. We had that Roman pottery, we had another fragment. I mean, it's quite possible that some of these buildings actually were still standing when people were already using this Roman pottery, Roman style pottery. It's made in Britain. It's not made in Rome.
Well, just before we go, there's just one thing which I'd like to mention, which resonates for me, because this is a piece of calcite gritted ware or sandy ware. It's been identified as. It's quite a large bowl, as you can see, but the person who made this has left his mark on it. This takes us back 2,300 years, and we've got something we can actually touch. So when he's turned the rim over, his nails have left impression and his fingertips have left the impression underneath the rim. And you can actually see the nail. He or she, it may have been a she.
What size are the fingertips?
Well, they're slightly smaller than mine, which indicates a child or a woman or a very small man, I suppose. But my fingers don't fit easily into those. They're too small. But that's nice.